Good to see everybody. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we will be discussing Abby and Libby's case, also known as the Delphi murders. Looks like we have our answer to what was going on for the last week and some days. Quote unquote, calm before the storm. Looks like they were dealing with selecting the jury. So that has been completed. We're going to dive into that. Shane, Sleuth, you were spot on about the calm before the storm. Well, we knew something was going on. Ziggy, welcome in. Red Queen, working and lurking. Hope you're having a great day. Alex says, doesn't look like a plea then. He's going to take his chances. Could be, but not necessarily. You know, we've seen plenty of cases where, and you can take a plea deal at any point before a verdict is put forth. That's if it's still on the table, right? It's just not likely. Or even the day of. And I'll show you some examples here. And also, the defense is going to give the impression that they plan to go full speed, you know, that they have no intention of taking a deal. It's kind of like a bluff. But they could have every intention of going to trial. You know, there's even a possibility, if they do go to trial, that Richard Allen is acquitted. So regardless of what we think about the due process and what our opinions are, things are going to go forward fairly in the way they should be in that courtroom, regardless of what we think out here. Good morning, Zuzu. Miss Mala. So it looks like Fox 59 beat me to the punch in breaking the news. But I wanted to gather some content for you guys, and it looks like they have some pretty good info. So let me put this up, and then I'll show you the actual documents that were filed by Richard Allen today. Okay, Fox 59, looks like this was put out by Matt Adams about an hour ago. And that's pretty much when the news broke. That's when we learned about it. We've been talking about it in the members-only Discord. But let's read this here. Defense attorneys for Delphi murder suspect Richard Allen want jurors to see the crime scene firsthand. In a motion filed Monday in Carroll Circuit Court, Allen's defense team asked the court that impaneled jurors be transported to the Freedom Bridge, the Monon High Bridge, and to the site where the bodies of the victims were located, as well as the site of the old CPS building, where the prosecution claims Richard Allen's vehicle was parked 1:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. Allen is charged with 4 counts of murder and the February 2010 deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. Since Indiana State Police announced his arrest in October of 2022, the case has been mirrored in legal back and forth. His trial is scheduled to start on October 14th. In the motion, the defense said the request would greatly aid a jury's understanding of evidence presented at trial, included observing and feeling the unique topography of the land, something that cannot be understood from photographs and video. The defense wants jurors to walk the trail from the Freedom Bridge to the Monon High Bridge and see where the girls were abducted. They also want them to see the area where the bodies were found and the building where prosecutors contend Allen parked his vehicle during the time of the killings. The locations are less than 2 miles from the courthouse, the defense argued. Transportation and viewing would take under 90 minutes in the defense's estimation. Allen's attorney said their client wouldn't necessarily have to make the trip if, because of any security concerns, the court does not wish to allow Allen to be transported to view the scene. He waives any such right and asks that the court order the jury view occur without him, the motion said. That's interesting. Allen's trial will begin with jury selection in Allen County. Once jurors are picked, they will be transported to Carroll County for the trial, which is slated to last a month. I don't know. I think it would be better for Richard Allen to go down there. I think if the jury goes down there and the defense and the prosecution, they all head down there, I think Richard Allen should be there too. They should look at him. They should be able to see his face while he's reliving that crime, if he's the killer, right? I think as disgusting as it is for him to be down there reliving that crime. Thank you, Shadow. Says, good morning, lurking. Work is busy today. Well, I hope you have a great day. Have a good Monday. As sick as it is for him to be down there, that happens in a lot of cases. I'm going to show you guys about 5 examples of where they took the jury along with the accused to the crime scenes. But I think it would be good for them to see his reaction. Good to see you, Phil Bond. Looks like there will be a trial. Gotta admit, I'm a little surprised. I don't know. It's still a little early. You know, it's not over until it's over. He could still take a plea deal. I'm going to show you a few examples of people who have pled, even on the second day of trial or the day before trial or shortly after jury selection. But the defense is definitely creating the perception that they have every intention of moving forward, which they should if they want to take a plea deal. Not that they will. But they're definitely not going to give a perception that they're ready to deal, right? Because really their only currency is dragging Indiana and the victims through this trial process just to appeal it regardless later on. What's up, Dave G? True Crime Mama, what's up? I'm very much surprised. I've had a gut feeling this will go all the way. And it could. And you guys have to be prepared for an acquittal. Remember, there's reasons that you believe Richard Allen is guilty, but you haven't had a chance to look at all of the evidence, to put it all into context, to analyze things like the unspent bullet or to see their comparisons. So we're just assuming that that's all solid information. Really depends on what the jury thinks, you know. What's up, Jer? Rescue all the dogs. Good to see you. Yep, we're in the zona. Miss Malawa, more and more zingers. So let's look at the documents that were filed this morning by Richard Allen. Let's take a look-see. So 8:46 a.m., just about a little over 2 hours ago. Motion for jury to view the scene. Richard Allen by counsel pursuant to IC 35-37-2-5 asks the court to order that the impaneled jury be transported to the Freedom Bridge, the Monon High Bridge, and to the site where the bodies of the victims were located, as well as the site of the old CPS building, where the prosecution claims Richard Allen's vehicle was parked between 1:30 and 4 p.m. on February 13, 2017. The view would be requested as it would greatly aid the jury's understanding of the evidence presented at trial, including observing and feeling the unique topography of the land, something that cannot be understood from photographs and video. Specifically, the request it for the jurors to walk the trail from Freedom Bridge to the Monon High Bridge, to then view the opposite end of the bridge where the victims were allegedly abducted, finally to view the area where the victims were found, and then the location where the prosecution claims Richard Allen parked his car. From 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. on February 13th. Those locations are less than 2 miles from the courthouse. Jury transport and viewing could easily be completed in under 90 minutes. Allen and his counsel, Andrew J. Baldwin, Bradley Rosie, and Jennifer Auger, request to be present. So it says Allen and his counsel request to be present, along with the prosecution, and observe. So that article was wrong. And observe the viewing under whatever direction and guidance of the court may order under Indiana Code. Because of any security concerns, the court does not wish to allow Allen to be transported to view the scene. He waives any such right. So if they have any objection, he says no issue with that. If you don't want me to be there, I don't want that to stand in the way of you allowing the jury to be there. What's up, Big Fish? Courtney, Timmy, Shimona V. Yep. So, I mean, we can go ahead and assume that they have selected a jury. That could have been what was going on over the last week and a half. The calm before the storm. Did a live stream last week kind of speculating on what was going on. Now we know. No possible way to show 12 people the trails in an hour and a half. I'm assuming they would just take a walk from the CPS building, walk to the Freedom Bridge, walk to the Monon High Bridge, and then there's a trail right there that will take you down to the crime scene as well. They could have that done in 90 minutes. Caricature, wow, this is huge. Jury selection means this is actually happening and it's not taking a deal then. Not necessarily. But the defense team is definitely putting up the appearance that they have every intention of going forward with this trial, which they should, even if they intended on eliciting some type of a plea bargain. They would still do this, right? But one thing is for sure, they have selected their jury. You can't request for a jury to go view a crime scene that doesn't, for a jury that doesn't exist, right? Good to see you, Roxy. Robin B. says justice for Abby and Libby and the families. Thank you, Robin. True Crime Housewife, what is up? This makes it to trial. It means he's saying he's innocent. Oh, geez. And remember, guys, he could be. And he is if a jury says so. There's a reason none of us could ever be on that jury. You know, we're too invested. We're too, our bias. We wear our bias like a big cowboy hat. If a jury has been selected, would a prosecutor even allow a plea at this point? It's possible. But here, let's let's look at what a few different attorneys had to say about that. Frank Muscagni III, criminal defense attorney in Louisville, Kentucky, said, "You need the advice of a competent criminal defense attorney for advice before your judge and with your prosecutor. It is dangerous to start a trial and assume the offer will remain open or the same after the trial starts. You need experienced counsel." Frank B. Ford, attorney in Dearborn Heights. Not only is it very unlikely that a plea bargain will remain available from the prosecutor on the day of trial, some judges have a policy of no pleas on the day of trial, no matter what, unless it is a plea of guilty to all original charges. However, if the prosecutor sees during the trial that the case is not going well for the prosecution, then they might be willing to make a plea offer. If that were the case, then that might be a signal that you shouldn't plead to anything, because there may be a reasonable chance that you may be acquitted. So it's kind of like what I was going to. You need to bluff all the way to the very end. So even that goes for the prosecution. So they don't want to give the perception or the appearance that they plan to provide a plea. Maybe they'll wait until the very last minute. And that could even be what the defense is doing, in my opinion. Forcing that, right? Like, hey, man, we're ready to go to trial. Are you? Very nuanced. Most pleas are withdrawn by the prosecutor at the beginning of the trial, but if it's still on the table, you can take it at any time. Now, you can accept a plea bargain at any point before the jury reaches and reports a verdict. Question is, will it still be available? And I think that's you got to take it case by case. Johnny Melton, Saginaw. You can, of course, always plead guilty. The issue is what you will plead to, as charged or something else. Plea bargains are often pulled after the trial begins. Ask your attorney to find out whether or not the plea bargain is still on the table. After you know, then decide what to do. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. Oh, that's true. If we have a trial, I reckon it's 60-40, far from a slam dunk. And we'll go into some of the statistics as well. Caricature, I keep thinking the prosecutor must have a good hand he's not shown yet. I hope to God this is true. Well, I mean, just the stuff that's been put out in the public is very damning. The question is, can they prove it, and will the jury buy it? So it looks like the defense is ready to start attacking that timeline. What's up, Brett Decker? Welcome in. No effects. What's up? Yeah, it's definitely not a slam dunk, caricature. You guys have to prepare yourselves for an acquittal. And if he's acquitted, that's because they couldn't prove that he did this. And if they can't prove that he did this, he should be set free. Caricature, you can put me on the jury any day. That's why you won't be put on the jury. And they're going to have specific questions to kind of weed out folks like us. Questionnaires. Anna says, I thought jury selection was supposed to happen October 14th. What the heck? No, that's the start of the trial. Remember, the original start of the trial was 5/15/2024. And just a few weeks before that, they rescheduled and they released like 400 potential jurors. They were just dismissed. Like, we don't need you guys anymore. So that should have been the information that we needed to realize that that's what they were doing right now. It's around the same time that, they were looking into a jury before it was rescheduled. Welcome in, Susan. Melissa, how are you? Seeing this jury selection disappointed me. I was hoping he took a plea. He still can. And spare the girls' families the pain of a trial. Yep, he still has an opportunity to take the plea. This could go to trial. Richard Allen could be acquitted. Who can endure months of trial and tragedy? I mean, we're not looking at months. We don't know how long it could be. Stephanie, I doubt he's innocent. 61 confessions. That's going to be up to the jury. You know, I've tried to do my best to explain how confessions are. It's really a strange thing. And also more than one judge, something like other countries such as Spain. In a way, the trial may be good for the family to officially get some justice and move forward. They have been in limbo for so long. Yeah, everything's going to come out during that trial. And if it does make it to trial, I believe it will be televised. Judge Gold has been a huge advocate for cameras in the courtroom in Indiana. And remember, she attempted to bring the cameras in before this whole debacle. That's why she kind of hasn't accepted that during the pretrial stuff. It was because of all of the circus like atmosphere that was kind of forming during those hearings. Anna says maybe the whole trial will happen without any news coverage. So much for will there be cameras in the courtroom? Yep. And that, like I'm saying, that could happen 3 days prior to the trial. You're going to see a bunch of requests, from news media outlets. And I feel like she'll allow maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3. But you'll see that request come through. You'll maybe even start seeing them now. And I believe she'll allow them. What's up, Olivia? Yeah, that's true, Susan. Not Monday, the 14th. Hey, Shay. Good morning. What's up, Bismo? They never picked me yet. I'm paralegal. They right away say next. Yep. Can you blame them? Did they decide on cameras or reporters in the courtroom? Not yet. There'll be some requests. I'll say probably the week before the trial. And it says, I suppose the jury needs time to gather their belongings, etc., for months of sequestration. I don't know. I'm assuming they did that, this weekend. Good to see you, Beth. Roxy Wendling, Richard Allen is not doing none of this stuff. His attorneys are doing it to try to make their stuff look good, and that's what they're supposed to do. Exactly. They have to appear ready. And so does the prosecution. It's a poker game. I hate to say it like that, but that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I hope they're not in the spotlight. That'd be awful. That's right, Susan. And if he is acquitted, that's the way it is. Does that mean he's innocent? No. It just means that they can't prove that he's guilty. And if you can't prove somebody's guilty, they shouldn't be in custody. I think so too, Shane. I agree. What's up, Frank? Yep, 3D chess. Thank you, Hiawatha. Welcome in. Dogs are going crazy. Heard like a siren or something. Hey, She Warrior. Have a great day today. How you doing, Shay? It is not a jury's instruction to find a person guilty or innocent, but either guilty or not guilty. Exactly. Like you have not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that this man did this. We have, we think he might be guilty. And that's where I stand right now. Yeah, I think so. I haven't seen the evidence. Even with that, that's enough to let the man go. The reason that Richard Allen is in custody is because law enforcement, they're telling us, the public, and the people of Indiana and the victims and anybody who is concerned that they have evidence that can prove he's guilty or had something to do with these murders. Question is, can they prove it in court? Okay, what happens when a jury visits a crime scene? In a criminal trial, both the defense and the prosecution can request that the juries view a crime scene, and it's generally up to the judge to decide whether to approve it. In many cases, it doesn't happen because the trial is taking place years later, so the scene has changed, and taking jurors there could provide a false impression of what happened. So that's kind of what we're dealing with, right? The CPS building has been knocked down. The trails are nothing like they were when the crime happened. But the crime scene and the distance, and, I think to help with the timeline, I think that benefit still exists. In some cases, however, crime scene visits can be useful to give jurors a sense of distance or other physical features that don't come across in photos and other evidence presented in court, said Stephen Benjamin, a Richmond, Virginia defense attorney who is not involved in the case. It permits a 3D appreciation for what has otherwise been a two-dimensional presentation in court, said Benjamin, a past president of the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. When jurors are taken to the scene of a crime, they are generally advised not to share their thoughts with one another because deliberations don't begin until both sides are done presenting evidence. The attorneys are typically present but instructed by the judge not to say or point out anything to the jurors. Oh, that's interesting, Shay. Do you think the defense would play up picking jurors. What do you mean? Welcome in. Yeah, and I also hope that they allow Richard Allen to go. I want them to see his face. And I think that's why they're okay with Richard Allen not going. Sometimes people can't control their actions. Yeah, different time of year. But I think it's more about the distance. Explaining the timeline, and now when they explain it, they'll have a frame of reference. So when they tell them Richard Allen walked from here, prosecution wants you to believe that they went from the CPS building to the Freedom Bridge to the Monon High Bridge, across the Monon High Bridge. They're going to bring them down there and they're going to show them the creek. That way, when they're discussing it during trial, they'll know, they'll have that frame of reference. I'm not sure, Anna. It looks like whatever they needed to do with the jury, it's done. It seems to be the reason why the case was so quiet. No effects. Didn't they supposedly restore a portion of the bridge for the purpose or bringing the jury out there? I feel like I heard this a while ago, some point after Richard Allen's arrest. I don't know, but they could easily just ask permission from the Webbers. Like, hey, can we go up there? Can we take the private drive? Or can we pull up into your parking lot, walk over to the south end of the bridge? And, if you guys want, or if you guys are able to, we can walk down, go down the hill. You guys hang tight real quick. I'm going to be right back. Give me a minute. All righty, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, I agree, Shane. Says, I'd say it's the witnesses' positions and timing that will matter. We've heard law enforcement say before only BG could have committed this crime. Yeah, so this is going to be good for the prosecution as well. So when they say things like after he left the Freedom Bridge and these girls were taking a photograph at that first bench, the jury will know exactly what they mean. Beth says, I thought of Richard Allen going out there, possibly reliving what he did just makes me sick. Yeah. But I want them to see it, right? I want them to see it on his face. I want the jury to look over at Richard Allen and to see him. What's up? Is it Victorian? We're actually going to be covering the Idaho murders Wednesday. I was putting some content together this morning. Was planning to go live on Brian Koberger today when this news broke. Stephanie says if he's innocent by some small chance, it's his own fault for confessing to make people think he's guilty. Well, it's not his own fault. There's many reasons people confess, right? There's people who have confessed to killing their own children just to leave an interrogation room. They think that if they confess, they'll be allowed to leave and then they can explain it later. Like, I just want to get out of here. And some of these cops are really brutal. But that's just not the case with Richard Allen. Like, they didn't keep him in an interrogation room for 24 hours, make him sleep on the floor. But in other cases, that has happened. We've covered that many times on this channel. So you have to be careful with confessions. These cops know what they're doing. They can get innocent people to confess. Not only that, when you're in solitary confinement, especially somebody who is already prone to mental health issues, can make them crazy. What's up, cheeks? Hold on to your butts. That reminds me of Jurassic Park. What's up, Pipers? All right. Let's look at a couple cases that had taken plea deals just days before the trial. And then we'll actually look at some reports and coverage of juries going to the crime scene in a few different cases. And then we'll get out of here. We'll have a little chit chat and then we'll get out of here. For example, Alex Murdaugh reaches plea deal days before trial in his financial crimes case. Here's another one. Recently, the trial for the man accused of killing 2 people in Posey County began with Tuesday with the jury selection, but at the start of day 2, the trial came to an abrupt end with a guilty plea. As we've reported, authorities say that Austin Custurin shot and killed John and Elizabeth Hall inside their Mount Vernon home in November of 2021. So, you can go on and on. You guys can go look for yourselves. It happens all the time. We've covered a few different cases where, the cases that we covered were death penalty cases, and they were able to waive the death penalty if the accused was willing to waive their right to an appeal. And in both those cases that we covered, it was day 1 of trial where they went ahead and still offered them the plea bargain, which was to take the death penalty off the table. And in return, they would plead guilty, spend the rest of their life in prison, and waive the right to an appeal. So let's look at some of these examples of juries visiting crime scenes.
In the Ray Shetler trial, he's accused of shooting and killing a local police officer. And this morning, jurors saw in person where it all happened. Westmoreland County Bureau Chief Ross Cadotti's live with more on that. Ross.
Yeah, day two of Ray Shetler's capital murder trial, as mentioned, started with the jury visiting where the crime allegedly took place. It was
What's up, Andy?
initially to last 3 hours. It didn't last nearly 30 minutes. For the first time since he allegedly gunned down
Exactly,
St. Clair
Shadow.
police officer Lloyd Reed Jr. in November of 2015.
Okay, so here's the man right here, the accused, and you can kind of see him. He's kind of got this smirk on his face throughout the video. And I think it's good that the jury sees the crime scene and also sees his reaction. You know, is this guy smug? Is he getting off on it? Is he reliving the crime? Or is he just as appalled as everybody else? You know, I think it's good that he's there. As disgusting as it would be if the killer is there reliving these fantasies, which does happen, I think it's good for the jury to see it.
First time since he allegedly gunned down St. Clair police officer Lloyd Reed Jr. in November of 2015, Ray Shetler Jr. stood outside 131 Ligonier Street in New Florence, awaiting the people who would determine his fate in his criminal trial.
I've been up since 5:30 and been watching what's going on across the street.
Debbie Bartley, one of a handful of residents who ventured out to watch the jury arrive at the scene of the alleged crime. It seemed everywhere you looked, law enforcement stood armed and ready, there to protect the jury and all involved.
I will be paying attention to what's going on. And
yeah, and they can block the streets and everything. Like they can block the streets off to where no traffic comes in. Now, as far as neighbors and things like that, I don't know what the rules are. You know, so I don't know if people out in Delphi are going to be trying to sneak down there, taking photographs, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy shit so far.
praying that nothing does happen.
Nothing did. The judge ordering the media to turn off cameras once the jury disembarked the bus. The actual visit and tour took only...
See, look at the look on his face. I think that's important. Especially with this type of case that may be sexually motivated. There may be some activity from the accused, Richard Allen, that he cannot control. Gail says the first bench was taken out. Was there a year ago? Talked to Dave McCain, asked him where it was. He said he did not know. I told him they need to put it back. He was going to bring it up at the town meeting. Yeah, where the hell is the bench? And the way they have it set up is like, it's like every minute of walking, there's a bench. So I don't know how many steps that is or how they measured it, but it's about every minute that you're on that trail, you get a bench to rest on. So it's like somebody that it almost seems like that's how they measured it. Like I'm going to walk for a minute and then we're going to put a bench. We'll walk for a minute, but I'm sure they have it in an exact feet, but that's the way some have measured it.
Parked the bus. The actual visit and tour took only 25 minutes. Back in the courtroom for the second half of the day, the director of security at the Conemaugh Power Generation Station testified of how he saw suspect Ray Shetler Jr. near the plant. Shetler ran from the scene of the shooting. Jeffrey Kaiser telling the jury, after he confronted Shetler, he started charging at me, threw his hands up a few times. He walked away, I followed. He turned around, charged at me again, kept his hand in his pocket. I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to get killed. I didn't want to get close to him. All right, new at 6, Ray.
Okay, so there's one example. I have a few, just to kind of give you guys an idea what to expect or what might be going on out there if they do approve it.
Top story for you on this Friday morning. It is day 4 of testimony in the Karen Reed murder trial. Of course, she's accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, in Canton 2 years ago in January of 2022. Now, after more testimony earlier this morning, the jurors, they are now set to visit the scene where he was found dead. NBC 10's Manoj Kwangwari live for us. He's at the courthouse in Dedham. Manoj, good morning to you. Have they left the courthouse just yet?
Well, they're actually leaving right now. And as a matter of fact, Karen Reed is actually leaving the courtroom right now. This traffic backup that you see is because right now cops are stopping traffic to make way for the jury bus. And really, all morning long, prosecutors and the defense have been questioning Katie McLaughlin, one of the paramedics who was first on scene the morning O'Keefe's body was found. Now, she was on the stand yesterday, and she's notable because yesterday during testimony, she claimed she questioned Karen Reed, and there Reed confessed to killing John O'Keefe. Take a listen.
She repeated, I hit him, and there was a police officer who was in that vicinity kind of with us who replied, you what? She repeated it one more time, and that officer then signaled to somebody, get Goody down here.
And I could be wrong about that, Shay. Maybe it's every 3 minutes.
Which I'm assuming would be the sergeant.
But today it was revealed by the defense that McLaughlin was interviewed by Trooper Michael Proctor, the lead investigator on the case, the day after O'Keefe's body was found. And in that interview, she said she overheard Karen confessing to a woman who was nearby and said she told what she heard to an officer afterward, appearing that her testimony has changed.
You would agree that from that time till yesterday, your story has evolved. It's changed.
Would I agree with that? No. I don't know that I agree with that.
So Anna, you think that they would make that request even though they haven't selected a jury? That seems a little strange.
You think the story that you told Trooper Proctor is exactly the same?
I understand what you're saying. So I understand what you're saying.
So has your story evolved?
Okay, yes.
Good to see you, Kate B.
Now take a look. That's Karen Reed right now. She's about to enter into her SUV and follow the jury bus where they will visit the property where O'Keefe's body was found and the bar he was last seen alive.
We are going to begin on the Crime Watch and the first day of testimony in the John Kenney murder case. Today, the jury of 9 men and 3 women visited the scene of the shooting, the home of Mel and Elizabeth Grimes. Kenney is accused of murdering his neighbors, the Grimes, after a property dispute. Before the visit to the crime scene, jurors heard the first testimony in the case. Action News reporter Felix Cortez is following the case. He's live at the county courthouse with today's developments.
Well, Aaron, that jury spent about half an hour up there at the crime scene, but it may have been what they heard inside the courtroom before going out there that may give them a better picture of what really happened out there.
I saw a female laying on the ground on her left side, curled around a rock.
The first responders described for jurors a gruesome scene. Mel Grimes was dead. His wife, Elizabeth, lay next to him, barely alive.
I asked her what had happened. And she said, my neighbor shot me. And I had asked why, and she had said, because he's, excuse my language, but he's an
John Kenney isn't denying he shot his neighbor, says it was self-defense after they attacked him with a sledgehammer Mel Grimes was using to break up a boulder Kenney had placed in front of the Grimes' carport. After the shooting, Kenney retreated to his home. Witnesses testified he offered no assistance and showed little emotion.
The most accurate characterization I can give is a man standing at the top of the driveway with his hands clasped behind his back with a blank stare.
When asked what happened, Kenney denied responsibility.
I said to him, there's a female down there with blood on her. How did she get like that?
And you might be right, Anna. You might have to change the title of the live stream, but you know, like I said at the beginning, I'm just assuming. And that could be the first part of the trial is them selecting a jury. So, one way to find out. Yeah, we won't get caught up on the on those type of details. And like I said, I'm just assuming.
Attorney Alec Murdaugh accused of murdering his wife and son. The dramatic move today, jurors going to the crime scene and what they saw. And what prosecutors said today in closing arguments about the son being shot and killed, they say his mother then running toward him. Here's Eva Pilgrim.
With a security escort, the jury in the Alec Murdaugh trial today making a rare visit to the crime scene where prosecutors say the disgraced lawyer shot his wife and son to death. Jurors spent an hour on the family's sprawling 1,700-acre property, walking around the crime scene near the dog kennels, the bullet holes still visible. Just hours later, the jury was back in the courtroom hearing prosecutors make their final case against Alec Murdaugh.
There's only one person who had the motive, who had the means, who had the opportunity to commit these crimes.
The state arguing Alec Murdaugh was about to be exposed for his financial crimes and was facing pressure from his family about his opioid addiction, so he killed them to buy time and gain sympathy.
The pressures on this man were unbearable, and they were all reaching a crescendo the day his wife and son were murdered by him.
Prosecutors describing in chilling detail how Murdaugh first shot his son, then his wife at close range with the family's weapons.
Maggie sees what happens and she comes running over there, running to her baby.
The state then pointing to Murdaugh's string of lies, denying he was at the crime scene until that kennel video emerged, proving he was there minutes before the murders.
Why in the world would an innocent, reasonable father and husband lie about that?
As they wrap their case, the prosecution asking the jury to remember the victims.
Maggie and Paul deserve a voice.
Pleading for them to convict Alec Murdaugh.
He fooled Maggie and Paul too, and they paid for it with their lives. Don't let him fool you too.
And the defense begins its closing arguments tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's the part that I couldn't really clear up, as if when do they finalize jury selection? Is it the first day of trial, first 2 days of trial? I really couldn't get a clear answer on that. I still can't. So I'm not claiming to have the answer on that one. I'm just assuming if you're requesting that the jury visits the crime scene, you have a jury. But I'm not an expert.
Okay.
This is the Victoria Stafford case. And this is the jury going down to visit the crime scene. Yeah, and that's another reason, Anna, that I believe that they've already selected their jury. Because if you can't agree on it, what are you going to do? Go through a whole week of trial just trying to figure out who you're going to select on the jury? So I'm tending to lean to the fact that they've already selected the jury. It's kind of one of those first things first type scenarios, right? And I'm pretty sure that's what was going on last week, so. But I could be wrong. I just don't see them starting a trial on October 14th and spending, an unknown amount of days arguing about who's going to be on the jury.
Check. No, I don't think I did. No, you don't. So we're going to shoot it over silos. She uses silos. Yeah. But this is where she walked. Remember, she walked away from the car. Yeah, she walked to the tree line, right?
along the tree line. This is where the car was parked. The car was parked here. Why is that assuming? Because then they had to go back to the rock pile. Yeah, that's where the trunk was parked. Oh, really? I can still see the seat.
Yeah, because the way I've always understood it was the first day of trial, they're going to provide opening statements. I don't know how you're going to provide opening statements if you're still trying to figure out who's on the jury. So there is some confusion about that, but I'm pretty sure they've already selected the jury. I could be wrong. But it's my understanding that first day of trial, you're going to have opening statements, not jury selection. Not much, CJK. In a nutshell, Richard Allen is requesting that the jury be allowed to go visit the CPS building, walk the trails, and go down to the crime scene while he's present. And if the judge isn't comfortable with him being present, he waives his right to be there and still wants the jury to go visit. And there's some debate going on right now within the chat whether or not the jury has been selected or if they'll be selected on the 14th. It's always been my understanding that the first day of trial is opening statements, not jury selection. But I could be wrong. And I'll probably be changing the title of the live stream anyway to something more specific so that I won't have to worry about it. I don't want that to be the focus anyway. But me being pretty sure I'm right doesn't mean I am right. What's up, Lulu? All right, guys, if you have anything to add, let's hear it. This wasn't going to be a very long live stream. And we still might go live a little bit later today to discuss the Idaho murders. Specifically, people gushing over Brian Kohberger and his new mugshot. Then also want to talk about the Papa Roger social media account. I'd like to hear you guys' opinions on that. Cheek says, as far as I understand, the jury should be selected 2 to 3 weeks before the trial. That's what I thought. And I don't understand why somebody would request for a jury to visit a crime scene when there is no jury right now. And from everything I understand, I don't see the trial, first day of trial being the jury selection. That seems very strange. The jury should already be sitting there ready to hear what was going on. Beth says jury selection October 14th in Fort Wayne. Jurors will be transported to Carroll County for trial. Where are you getting that information? That way I can put it up on the screen. Time for trial is decided between both parties and the judge. Time blocked out would include jury selection. How do you know? Where are you getting this information? Let's try to narrow it down with some factual information. Well, I put it up on the screen at the beginning of the live stream. Stephanie says Richard Allen wants the jury to feel sorry for him. Cheek says, I find it more interesting that Richard Allen wants them to go to the crime scene, considering he is stating he's never been there. What insight would a jury have about the crime scene? I think it's more about the timeline, and when they're trying to make, plead their case, they want them to have a frame of reference. And showing photographs like in the thumbnail, it's just not going to do. It's not going to do it. They show up and then they choose who will end up being on the actual jury. CJK says, never been on one, but they show up and then they choose who will end up being on the actual jury. So they do all of that and opening statements on a first day of trial. No, they're literally gushing. And we're going to go over that. Maybe later today. We'll see. Fox 55 what, Beth? Shimona, I sure hate the Delphi trial. Won't even have audio released. I get the video due to the children, but not even an audio recording. We don't know that yet. Just stay calm. I think Vinny Politan said that too, Sleuth. You think? You guys, let's... Come on now. We all think this and we all think that. Let's narrow it down. No worries. I thought you were here at the beginning. Yeah, we read the documents. We read an article. Yeah, now he has a... They're calling him handsome. They're saying he's like a movie star. Yeah, it's gross. Lula says Koberger is hideous. I believe the jury pool is selected before the trial starts. I mean, that would make sense to me, but I'm not an expert. Like I said, that was just my opinion. It would be good to narrow it down to be sure. The jury selection date info is on Fox 55. You want to go ahead and post the link? We'll pull it up. It'd be nice to narrow that down. Just so we know moving forward. Me neither, Shadow. Me neither. But we have plenty of examples we're going to go over. Possibly today. I'll see. Today seems like it's going to be a busy day. Koberger is as handsome as Ted Bundy. Yeah, I don't think people... Yeah, it's just weird. That hybristophilia stuff. Yep, I saw that, Stephanie. Usually jurors are selected prior to trial start because the jury selection could take some time. Well, that's what common sense tells me, but I don't want to assume. That's where I'm at. That's my opinion on it. That's what makes sense to me. Why would you start a trial if you don't even have a jury selected? Unless jury selection is part of the trial. So, I mean, I could be wrong. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's always been, in my mind, the first day of trial, which in this case would be October 14th, is opening statements. Yeah, so I'm reading right here. First day of trial, an opening statement is made by the attorney for the plaintiff. The attorney for the defendant may then make an opening statement. The purpose of opening statements is to outline to the jury. So they're not talking about any type of jury selection here. And this is from the 19th Judicial Circuit Court for Illinois. This is from the Judicial Learning Center. First day of trial, the attorneys will begin making their opening statements. The attorneys use this time to give the jury an overview of the case they intend to present. So I'm not seeing anything where it says the first day of trial, they're picking a jury. But I could be wrong. Let's see. Adam D. Zucker, attorney for Bluebell, Pennsylvania. The first day of trial often includes meetings with the judge to decide certain evidentiary issues, stipulations, and procedures. It may also include jury selection if the case is tried before a jury and not a judge, a bench trial. If the actual trial starts, then the judge or clerk will swear in the jury and the judge will give some instructions. Thereafter, the attorneys will each make an opening argument. So Adam Zucker is saying both are true, that the first day of trial, you're going to swear in the jury. Wait, let me read exactly what he said. The judge or clerk will swear in the jury. Oh, no, may also include jury selection if the case is tried before a jury and not a judge. So, yeah, that might be the case. Why can't we get like a straight answer on that? Okay, here's something. What to expect. This is from Future First Criminal Law. It says here jury selection is the first. Hold on, I lost it. Jury selection is the first stage. On the day your trial is scheduled to begin, a group of prospective jurors will be summoned to the courthouse. From this group, called a veneer, the prosecutor and your defense lawyer will select the jurors who will decide your case. We'll select the jurors who will decide your case. This is accomplished through a process called voir dire, in which the judge and or the lawyers question the prospective jurors, and then the lawyers decide whether to keep the individual or to strike from the jury. Both your defense lawyer and the prosecutor have an unlimited number of for-cause strikes. That is, the parties can strike any juror who cannot be fair and impartial and decide the case on law and evidence presented in court. So according to Future First, Anna was 100% correct. So that's why it's good to kind of figure out what the fuck is going on. Some people know the criminal before they committed the crimes. So yeah, we'll definitely change the title of the live stream. I think the jury is in on that question. Yeah, and I never claimed to be an expert. Just a guy with an opinion and a platform so that your opinions can also be heard. I'm just as ignorant as the next guy when it comes to the way all this stuff works, but we're learning. Thank you, Roxy. Where they found a jury that had no prior knowledge of the case. According to WRTV, jury selection is on the 14th. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like that's what they're going to do first. So I think it is a little strange for the defense to be making such a request. In New York, the last time I went for jury, it was 2 weeks before the actual trial. Yeah, and the things that we're looking at are not for Indiana. So I don't know. Sorry, I'm just reading some stuff right now. I still feel like it's not clear. But yeah, it looks like most likely the first day, October 14th, they'll be selecting the jury. So it's a little strange that the defense team is making this request and they haven't even selected a jury. Thanks, Lua. Definitely a good student. If that's what makes a good teacher. Two-day online course on things? No. I'm just a guy with an opinion. And I just want to make sure you guys have a space where you can voice your opinions. Linda Harder's? No. I don't know. It doesn't look like. Like I said, I was just trying to break this news, so I'm going to change the title here because it may be wrong. I was just assuming. So don't get too caught up on that, guys. You're wrong, sleuth. They're not selecting the jury till the 14th, you fool. Like, calm down. I'll change the title. Easy. Take it easy. You fucking idiot. There. Title changed. Richard Allen wants the jury to see the crime scene. Bam. It's as easy as that. You said the jury was selected. Yeah, and I was wrong. I thought you were an attorney, sleuth. I am, but I'm pro bono. I'm pro bono. I'm a U2 fan. A little one, the request is only for show. Yeah, it seems a little premature. There's got to be a strategy behind it. Oh, no, I'm a doctor. I went to a website and I got my doctorate. It's in the mail. I'm like the doctor on The Simpsons. Thanks, Farmer. What's up? Alex, I think the jury is sworn in on the first. Oh, my God. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Leslie, I'm always wrong. It's okay to be wrong, guys. I'm going to eat my sandwich. What kind of sandwich you got? The other YouTube guy that got thrown in jail? Who's that? Who that? Pro bono toilet toffees. I'm pro bono. Gotcha. Well, it's pretty simple. I changed the title of the live stream. Everybody can calm down. Take it easy. I've never been on a jury and I've never been through a trial. French dressing. What the hell is that? Mayonnaise? Hey, Jerry, my heart goes out to the families and friends of these sweet girls. The trial will be so hard for them. Yeah, let's hope it doesn't go to trial. Ooh. That sounds interesting. Yeah, it looks like we're getting down to the wire. We got Richard Allen jumping the gun here. I know you haven't selected the jury yet, but we would like to take them on a hike down to the Monon Trail. Well, I think it's just more like proving, you got to prove like the YouTuber wrong or whatever. And I'm not talking about you, Anna. I'm just saying that's what we deal with a lot. Like, we're not supposed to be right. It's just sometimes we are right. We're just here really, well, the reason I'm here is to try to break news, do some decent reporting, and get to the bottom of things. So when I say things like, I think the jury is selected, and people say, I think they're selected on the first day, it's like I'm more comfortable with, here, look at this. This is why you're wrong. Jibbo says, Goal, you got to ask them yourself. Alan turns to the jury. Guys, down the hill. Yeah, let's hear you say it. Yeah, while you're out there, why don't you go ahead and direct them on where to go, Mr. Allen? Oh, yeah. Bringing awareness to normal people about the nature of things that are also out there. Yeah, that's what we are. We're a bunch of normal people, you know? We're ignorant. We're ignorant, you know? And how do you remedy ignorance? By learning. And I, for one, just learned something. At least I think I did. The jury selection happens on the first day of a trial, not before. Well, I think that's the consensus at this time. Anna's court time is limited, so trials, including jury selection, are all figured into the time slot. It's more choreographed than we think. Just be really weird to waste 3 days of a trial on a jury selection. As a juror, I would be very uncomfortable to have the suspected killer accompanying me. Well, he's going to be accompanying you for weeks. They're going to be sharing the same air. Oh, here we go. David Nolan, 10-4, jury selection begins from Allen County jury pool and could take several days. After selected, they will move to Carroll County to be sworn and sequestered. I think we're past that. Brad, here's the deal, though. Thank God that I got to spend time with my child that is their Abby and Libby age yesterday. Yeah, they'll never be able to say that again. And that's hard to say. That is hard to say. Suspects don't go. They normally do outings before trial or at a selected date. Well, we just watched, I just gave you guys a bunch of examples where they brought the accused with them. And even in the paper, in the document, they're requesting that Allen be present. So in the court filing, they're asking, we want Richard Allen to be there. We want the jury to be there. We want the prosecutor to be there and, and the defense team. But if for whatever reason you're not comfortable with Richard Allen being there, we would still like for the jury to go without Allen. But we want him to go. And then all of the cases that we put up on the screen, the accused were there. Yeah, that is a little creepy. Yeah, I get you. But I mean, you're going to be sitting there and looking at this guy, the entire time. I think it would be good, if you're going to be part of the jury, to see his face down there at the crime scene. Maybe he has like some weird smirk or his behavior changes. Roxy Wendling says the trial starts on the 18th. I think it starts on the 14th. Beth says the county I served as a juror, they chose us ahead of time and then sent us a trial date. Then more questioning by attorneys actually was chosen because they picked every other chair. Yeah. So I wonder if it's different. But I don't want to argue about it, especially when I don't know. I'm not going to argue about it just because I titled it incorrectly. I'll just change the title. And then nobody has to go, look, Sleuth, you're wrong. No, I'm not. I changed the title. My first impression as a man is to want to exchange exact revenge. Yep. To do unto him as he did unto them. I actually still feel like that. Yep. But until you're in that situation, you really don't know. It's easy from the outside looking in saying, hey, if you killed my child, I'm going to kill your whole family, or I'm going to burn the whole city down, or whatever. But then you have to think about the memory of your loved one. What would they want you to do? How do you honor them? Honoring them would be you not going to prison, so I just don't think it's that simple. Leave Becky Hill home. What does that mean? He's like, oh, I can't make it. Like, I can't hike back here. He starts playing, he's playing the character the entire time. Starts acting like he starts going the wrong way. Rick, it's this way. Oh, see, I don't even know where the crime scene is. I'm so lost. The ones I was on had a jury pool, and I would sit for 9 months or something like that, and we'll get called up for each case. And it's very interesting. Like, we learn a lot about the whole trial process. They didn't choose a shaved head dude like me for any case. Because they already knew. Linda, what's up? Maybe they will have him say down the hill while he is out there at the bridge. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Like, lead the way, Rick. He's like, I don't know where it's at. Phil Bond says, I went for a murder case once. They described what happened. I took one look at the guy and I was like, he did it. And I'm so glad I wasn't selected. Did he end up getting convicted? Do you know? Silas. Maybe he will treat the jury to one of his confessions at the crime scene. He's like, you guys know I did it, right? Yeah, it's so weird. Oh, that's gross. That's disgusting. His snack pack. His pudding snack pack. As Dan the Curious Contrarian likes to put it. His pudding pops. So I think as far as the whole jury selection, I think we could be wrong. I don't know for sure, but it looks like the first day of trial, they're going to select the jury. So even though the defense is requesting for the jury to go down to the crime scene and they don't have a jury yet, he's just he's getting ahead of the game. You know what I mean? What's up, Pinky? Boston Christian, welcome in. Boston Christian, just on news, jury selected Allen County, then moved to Carroll County. What do you mean, Boston? The jury was already selected or will be selected? Because we've been talking about that for a minute. And I stated that at the beginning of the live stream, that I'm not an expert, and I'm just assuming that they've selected a jury based on the request. So I don't try to act like Mr. Smarty Pants. I just simply changed the title of the stream. Good to see you. Richard Allen's defense said he will not have to attend the trip. Yeah, they want him to. But if the judge doesn't agree with it, he's waiving his right. He still wants the jury to go down there without him if that's the case, but they want him to be there, which is a little creepy. They read out loud the books, magazines, and TV programs I watched at the time. It happens. Did it say what date? Because everything that we've gathered and everybody's commenting on it, they say it'll be the first day of trial. That seems to be the consensus so far in the chat and from what I've gathered. But either way, I changed the title of the misleading, or I changed the misleading title of the live stream. That way people don't get hung up on it. And honestly, I was just moving quickly and created the thumbnail and put up just put up a title. It was breaking news. So for those of you just joining, Richard Allen wants the jury, that apparently has not been selected yet, to visit the crime scene with or without him. They want him to go to the CPS building. They want him to walk the trails all the way from the Freedom Bridge to the Monon High Bridge, and then actually go down to the crime scene. So it'll be the defense team, the jury, the prosecutor, Richard Allen. And hopefully a shit ton of cops. And hopefully you don't have some idiot lurking in some camo out there with his GoPro. Hiding up in a tree or something. Richard Allen brings the jury down the hill. What's up, GP? Yeah, I was going to email my lawyer friend too, and I forgot. Because I wasn't sure from the beginning. That's why I said it. It's one of the first things I said when we went live. I'm assuming, and I'm no expert, Sensei, what's up? How's it going?
We do not train to be merciful here. Mercy is for the weak. Here, on the street, in competition.
Yes, Sensei. Why would they want to visit the crime scene 8 years later? Yeah, we pulled up an article where it said the judge might not allow it just because it could be misleading. But I think just for the sake of reference, like when they're explaining, hey, the distance between the CPS building to the Freedom Bridge and the distance from the Freedom Bridge to the first bench and from the bench to the Mears parking lot, the Mears parking lot to the Monon High Bridge, and then what does it look like down the hill, and what does it look like to cross the creek, and then what is the crime scene? So when they're talking about it in court and they're trying to make their point or plead their case, the jury will have that frame of reference. They won't just be using photographs. Yep, exactly. Boston says news said they want them to also see old CPS building where prosecution claims his car was parked between 1:30. Yeah. Yep. But it does create some issues, right? The CPS building's no longer there. Been some changes to the trails. Apparently one of the benches is missing. And of course, you guys have all seen the changes to the actual high bridge. But I'm sure the crime scene itself is going to be the same. But I think it's more about the timeline and getting a feel for the area. You think he wants to go out there? I'm sure he wants to get out of jail for the day. Oh, it's so creepy. CJK, the defense daddies wants the jurors to believe Allen couldn't have done it for whatever reason. Yeah, they got to take Richard Allen with him. That's kind of crazy in my opinion, except that the jurors have never been there. Maybe to see how woodsy it is. Yeah, maybe they want them to kind of struggle. Like, see how hard it was to hike down here? And then they'll have Richard Allen just kind of falling around. He's like, can somebody help me over this log? They said the jurors won't understand the topography of the land by video and pictures. Hey, what's up, kitty cat? Murdoch jurors went to the scene. This will fry Richard Allen once they see the horror the dear girls faced being trapped. Yeah, we pulled up the Murdoch case. We use that as an example. They've cleaned everything up out there. They've even blacktopped the trails. Yeah, it's completely different. So the only reason that they would be doing it is just to give, an idea of like what it really means to walk from the CPS building, and so they got a better idea of the area. And I agree with that. Like, I just don't think you really have an idea of what's going on until you get out there. That goes for me too. I've never been out there. Would like to, but everybody that I've talked to, like even Steve and Ruckus Rocks, and of course they already knew that, but they've always explained it to me. Like, hey, you really don't have a feel for what's going on until you actually get out there and see it for yourself. Jibble Baldwin, Allen did this with dexterity. I think not Jury Allen in the background climbing a hill. Come on, guys, this way. Or he's going to use it as an opportunity to act like he doesn't know anything. Falling all over the place. To walk in those woods. Yeah, that's creepy too, Leslie. I have no idea why this pecker is wasting everyone's time. Well, he doesn't want to be labeled as a child killer. Jacqueline, hi. What's the defense's motive for physically viewing the site? That it was impossible for Richard Allen to traverse the bridge and end up at the crime scene. I don't know. What's the strategy of requesting a jury that hasn't even been selected? Are they just trying to beat the prosecution to the punch? Because I feel like the prosecution would be in favor of this. This is something that they would want. Like, come on, let me show you how easy it would be for little Ricky to do this. Let me take you on a field trip. So maybe that's what they're doing. We did it before the prosecutor could do it. Just strange for them. And it was misleading to me. I just assumed, if you're going to request for a jury to go on a field trip, I just assumed that they already had a jury. But it looks like I was most likely wrong about that. And that's fine. What do I know? Yeah, and I think it would be good for the jury to see that look on his face when he gets out there. Does his demeanor change? Leslie says, Sleuth, it's time for you to come to Indiana. It's been time. I just have a whole clan. And when you're playing YouTuber, you don't want to dig into your savings or spend any money that you shouldn't be spending on a tight budget. Hopefully in the future the channel will grow, be big, and right now support has been picking up, so shout out to you guys who've been supporting me. All you members, all you folks who hit the Cash App, and all you people who share and like the videos, thank you. And we do have, we're trying to work it out to where we get out there. Probably not during the trial, but maybe early next year. Yeah, I agree. They tore down the house. They tore down the CPS building. I just don't know. I understand, after the trial and after a conviction, you're not there to memorialize a murder scene. But how is the jury going to walk through that home? What are they going to use, like a 3D? Some kind of weird animation? I agree with you, CJK. Thank you, Leslie. Yeah, and it's not super pricey, but it's up there. Probably cost a good maybe $2,000 with the rental car, hotel, plane tickets. Hey, Cindy Lean. For those of us that live out of state and would love to go to a walk or trial but are unable to, I thank those who can. Yeah, I appreciate it. I like seeing you guys out there showing your support and reporting boots on the ground. Yeah, Boston says, yes, I agree, and let them get a real feel for the area and watch the two hawks that fly together over the water all day long, never separating. Yeah, so what's up with this premature request? You know, it kind of threw me for a loop. You know, I just assumed that they already possibly had a jury picked. So why this premature request? Is it their attempt to say this was our idea? But in my mind, this is something the prosecution would want to do. Like, here, let's take you guys out there. We'll show you exactly how Richard Allen did this and how easy it would have been for him, a grown man, to kill two young girls. So, I mean, doesn't it seem premature? Apparently, they don't even have a jury selected, and he's already asking for the jury to go on a field trip. What is the strategy? What's the deal? Maybe Shadow. I mean, if people want to support me and I get enough support, I'll go out there. That's how it works. Doesn't want to be labeled a child killer, yet tells anyone who will listen he is one. I don't know. I don't think he's telling anyone. Got to be careful with confessions, guys. Got to be careful. I mean, how many times do I got to show you the video of the guy confessing to killing his father who was not even dead? Thank you, Shadow. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's live stream. We'll probably hang out another 10 minutes and we'll hit that 2-hour mark. And if anybody's part of the replay crew, if we got anything wrong, let us know. I think there's still a little bit of confusion about when they select the jury, that whole process. But right now, the consensus is day one of the trial. They select the jury. Now, why would a defense team request a field trip for a jury that has not been selected? I'm not quite sure. Let me know in the comments. I feel like they want to be the first, right? Like, hey, it was our idea. We want you to go because it's beneficial to our case, not the defense's case. But I feel like it's going to be more of a benefit to the prosecution. Yeah, exactly, Kitty. I feel like it would be more beneficial, right? Like, here, let me show you my timeline. I wonder how many times the defense team went out there and kind of went through all of that. Thank you, Shadow. Yeah, if we can make it happen. It's not too ridiculous. If I can figure out a way to... I've estimated probably about $2,000 it would cost me for a few days out there. Yep, I agree with that, Jacqueline. Let's see. Let's go to Alex. Why is trial showing as rescheduled? Subsequent dates canceled, though. Let's put that up on the screen here. Well, they originally had it scheduled for... I think up until, what, the 31st? And then they extended it. So they canceled it, and then they kind of rescheduled it down here at the bottom. So they originally had it scheduled to the 1st. They canceled all of that, changed it to the 14th, and then from the 14th all the way to the 15th instead of the 1st. The defense was claiming that they didn't have enough time. But now they don't even need it because they're not, they're not really able to present the third-party suspect. Hey, Cindy, I don't get it. I agree with Sleuth. Nothing will be the same as that date. Yeah, it won't be. And a lot of times, well, in some of the examples that I put up, the judge denied that. They felt that it was going to be misleading and actually that it would actually hurt the process. But I think in this case, it would be beneficial for the prosecution. I don't understand the strategy behind the defense, preemptively making this kind of a request, other than the fact that they get to say, hey, we did it first. Maybe like a psychological thing. That's interesting, Boston. Feel like the prosecution will have to explain everything about that day. Now they have to remind people of how nothing was the same. GP, there's no way that they could take them down to the crime scene because of the terrain. The only way that they'll be able to take the jurors back there is if they could ride. No, they'll walk them. They'll walk them down there. There's a rough trail from the cemetery to the crime scene, which we've seen Randy Gravett videoed that among, and a few other YouTube videos that are out there. But if you go to, I think it might be Gray Hughes, he did something that was pretty recent, I think at the beginning of the year, where he took a really nice camera that he had on a gimbal, and it had, had a 360 view on it. And he took the trail so basically when you get to the Monon High Bridge, Instead of continuing across the bridge, you would take a left and follow, kind of follow the creek back there towards the crime scene. There's a trail there, and they could easily take that. Depending on their health and all that kind of stuff. That's a good question, Jacqueline. Oh, no worries, Alex. I think the defense wants the jury to see how deep the creek is. Yeah, that creek is not deep at all. It's the last thing they want. Fucking push Richard Allen in there. Kitty Cat says Mata's been pushing the defense to go after the timeline. Yeah, but he has a whole lot of conspiracies about the phone, turning on and off and things like that. But yeah, his overall opinion was that they spent too much time on the third party suspects and that they should have been attacking the timeline and other things. Which which most likely they did behind the scenes. They were planning, The whole Odinism stuff might have just been a ploy to help with the appeal process, or to kind of bring a giant straw man into the court or into the proceedings to help with negotiate a plea bargain. Yeah, that's all he needs. Yeah, what is his damn alibi? Like, that's all you need, dude. What's your alibi? If you're not this killer, what is your alibi? But we get crickets with that. Alrighty, guys. We are at the 2-hour mark. I appreciate all of you guys in the chat helping clear up this information. And I guess this is somewhat breaking news. Either way, it's an interesting discussion. I was thinking it's the defense request for this. Maybe they want to show the jurors how difficult it would be to control 2 victims across a creek and up the bank. Yeah, they might take them slipping, through the mud themselves. And that's why I was saying it could be a good opportunity for Richard Allen to kind of stumble around, act lost, do what he does best, which is hide in plain sight. If he's the killer. Kitty Cat says R&R. Who's R&R? Said can't give an alibi because they don't know time of death. But Beaches can't say where he was at 2:13 to 4 p.m. Oh, yeah. They're going to poke holes in everything for their guy. Take care, Leslie. Thank you for the super chat. Shadowbox, thank you. You guys rock. Shout out to the mods and all of you members and all of you folks who continue to help out with the Cash App. If it wasn't for you, I would not be able to play a YouTuber, and I wouldn't be able to spend time putting content together. And I still wouldn't know when the hell they select a jury. But I think we pretty much figured that out. But any of you attorneys out there, if we're wrong, because I think we figured it out, but if we're wrong, let us know. I don't know. I disagree, Cindy. I see people walking back there all the time. It's not that crazy. I mean, you can go watch the YouTube videos of it. Gray Hughes took his whole family, took his wife, and they didn't have any issues getting out to the crime scene whatsoever. There's also another YouTube video of a man, his wife, and 2 small children. They go out to the crime scene. Randy Gravitt, he's a big dude. I think he even has like an issue with his leg or something. And he's done it multiple times. Steve went out there. He said he was slipping and falling all over the place. So, but I have a feeling that's what the defense wants. They want to bring them out there and show them that it's difficult. But that might backfire. But I showed you that video at the beginning of the live stream. They were taking this jury all the way down this dirt path. They were doing some serious hiking, getting muddy and everything. It looked like it was cold as shit. So I definitely think they would take the jury down there. They're going to try. Thank you, Shane. No, the only video they had was the Hoosier Harvest Store. And the only way to get on that video is if he was traveling. Well, they captured him coming from east to west. So from Ron Logan's direction over to the CPS building. So he must not have gone back that way. But I believe that's the only video they have of him, is coming from east to west. And then when he left, he probably continued going west. Yeah, I agree with you, Cindy. So it's going to be tough. You know, you never know. Maybe one of the jurors walks with a cane. But I think they're definitely going to. They could go down there. And they're going to try. But I agree with you. Not everybody can do it. So. But if this jury is able, they're going to have to. Depending on what the judge says. Cindy. There is a zombie apocalypse. I'm screwed. I'll be living on adrenaline and the help from other people. Hey, we got you. Just drop that location. We'll go World War Z on them. Boston, just rub some dirt on it. He needs milk. All right, guys. That is going to do it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Big question. Why is the defense requesting a field trip with a jury that hasn't even been selected yet? And are we correct? Has the jury not been selected? Will they be selected on the first day of trial? That was definitely a point of confusion. This is a learning process. For me, anyway. And you guys are all welcome to be right or wrong in the chat. One way or the other, we'll figure it out. Thank you, CJK. All right. And if you guys want to shoot me an email for whatever reason, do so at sleuthintuition@gmail.com. If you guys are interested in any merch, go hit up the website, sleuthintuition.com. And replay crew, let me know what you thought about today's live stream, what was discussed. I would love to hear from you. Some of the attorneys, let us know what's going on. Help us out. And extra shout out to Shadowbox and Leslie Kingston for sponsoring today's live stream. And maybe I'll see you guys later. We'll see. I'll let you know. Keep a lookout for the notification. Peace.